Hello everyone. Here in this section, we are going to learn how to identify and study the different plant specimens. So in total, there are 4 plant specimens, out of which only 2 will be asked in the practical exam. Now, mind you, these 2 can be any of the 4, okay? So the 4 plant specimens that are there for your syllabus are Sargassum, Funaria, Nephrolepis, and lastly, Cycas megasporophyll. So the first specimen that we are going to discuss is Sargassum. But before we jump into this, let me just tell you that all the 4 specimens are plants. So naturally, they belong to the kingdom Plantae. However, all these 4 specimens come from different divisions under the kingdom Plantae. So the Sargassum belongs to the division Thallophyta, which is algae. Then Funaria belongs to the division Mosses, which is Bryophyta. Then Nephrolepis belongs to the division Pteridophyta. And lastly, Cycas belongs to the division Gymnosperms. Now, Sargassum is a multicellular brown algae found in marine habitats. So it is a brown algae, which means it belongs to the class Phaeophyceae and it lives in marine habitats. That means saline water. So it is highly branched with photosynthetic pigments such as chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids, and fucoxanthin. The cell wall of this plant is made up of cellulose, which is, I think, which is common for all the plants. Here, the reserve food material is laminarin and mannitol. Now, understand this whenever we talk about reserve food, whether it be in plants or in animals, we are particularly talking about carbohydrates, okay, because we get energy from carbohydrates. So laminarin and mannitol both are carbohydrates, okay. Here Sargassum carries out vegetative propagation by fragmentation as in, uh, if you cut small fragments of this plant and if you spread it on soil, each fragment will give rise to a new plant. So this type of propagation is called as fragmentation. Then asexual reproduction occurs by biflagellate zoospores. Now what are zoospores? Zoospores are basically spores which can move. So zoo means animals, spores means cells which can give rise to a plant or an organism as a whole. So zoospores are spores which can move like animals. Okay. The opposite of this is aplanospores. Aplanospores are non-motile. That means they cannot move. Okay. So these spores are asexual spores which are biflagellate. Biflagellate as in they have 2 flagella which helps them in moving. Then sexual reproduction is carried out by gamete formation. So the gamete formation is the same process as we see in andrecium and gynoecium, where andrecium produces the male gamete and gynoecium produces the female gamete. Both fertilize and give rise to a new diploid organism. Now, the next specimen is Funaria. Now, Funaria is a plant which belongs to the division Bryophyta. So, just like other bryophytes, it also loves moist, shady, and damp soil. That means basically it requires some amount of wetness. Okay. So, the plant body here is haploid gametophyte. Now, understand this. What do you mean by haploid gametophyte? So a haploid gametophyte basically means that a plant body which consists of all the haploid cells. Okay, so the entire body is made up of haploid cells. Similarly, you will also come across a term called a sporophyte. So a sporophyte is a plant body which is entirely made up of diploid cells. Okay, सो हैप्लॉइड सेल से बनी हुई प्लांट बॉडी को हम लोग बोलेंगे हैप्लॉइड गैमेटोफाइट। एक डिप्लॉइड सेल से बनी हुई पूरी बॉडी को हम लोग बोलेंगे डिप्लॉइड स्पोरोफाइट। ओके, नाउ हियर the plant body is haploid gametophyte, which is further differentiated into rhizoids, colloids, and phylloids. To understand these three parts in simple words, I would just say rhizoids are similar to roots, colloid is similar to stem, and phylloid is similar to leaves. Okay, so rhizoids are there for anchorage, that means to hold on to something. Okay, and also absorption of water and minerals. Colloid is there as a central axis, just like a stem, and it provides support to the leaf. That means the leaf like appendages over here is called as phylloids. Is that understood? Okay, now the next thing that we are going to discuss is with respect to the reproduction. So here the sexual reproduction, how does it take place? Now, as I said that it is a gametophytic plant body. That means it is going to produce male and female gametes. So the male and female gametes are produced by the male and female sex organs, which are called as antheridia and archegonia respectively. Okay, antheridia is the male sex organ and archegonia is the female sex organ. So the male sex organ produces male gametes, the female sex organ produces female gametes. Now, moving ahead, these male and female sex organs they produce the gametes. These gametes fertilize together to give rise to, just hold on for a while. So the male and female gametes produced by antheridia and archegonia, they fertilize together to form a diploid zygote. Okay, this diploid zygote, now it is a single cell. Zygote is a single diploid cell, so it multiplies mitotically to produce a sporophyte. Now, as I said earlier, a sporophyte is a plant body which is entirely made up of diploid cells. Okay, now this diploid plant body, which is sporophyte, is partially dependent upon the gametophyte. How, you may say? I'll just show you over here. See, over here you can see that there is this gametophytic body. Okay, there is this gametophytic body on top of which you can see the sporophytic body. Okay, so the sporophyte is dependent upon the gametophyte. So the gametophyte produces male and female gametes which fertilize together to form a diploid zygote which multiplies to form a diploid sporophyte. Okay, to form a diploid sporophyte. Now, the diploid sporophyte consists of a capsule, which is like a pouch-like structure, which produces haploid spores. Okay, which produces haploid spores. These haploid spores germinate to form again the gametophyte. So you can see that it is like a cycle. Gametophyte produces male and female gametes. These male and female gametes fertilize to form zygote. This zygote multiplies to form a sporophyte. The sporophyte produces haploid spores. Haploid spores. The haploid spores germinate to form a gametophyte again. So this cycle continues. Okay, this particular phenomenon is called as alternation of generation. So here the sporophytic stage is dependent upon the gametophytic stage. Now Next plant is Nephrolepis. Now, Nephrolepis is a plant which belongs to the division Pteridophyta. Now, pteridophytes are those plants which are majorly land plants. Okay, so they live on land. However, they require some amount of moisture. So usually they prefer tropical and subtropical environment. Here, the plant body is majorly a diploid sporophyte, which is exactly opposite of the previous example. So in the previous example, the main plant body was a haploid gametophyte. Here, the main plant body is a diploid sporophyte, which is further divided into roots, stem, and leaves. Now, the entire plant body consists of multicellular hair-like structures on them. So these hair-like structures are called as ramenta. Are called as ramenta. Now, the roots of these plants are adventitious. That means they are hair-like. They are well developed and they help in fixation and absorption. So fixation as in to hold on to the soil or the substratum, and absorption means absorption of minerals and water. Here the stem is underground and obliquely placed, and this obliquely placed stem is called as rhizome. Okay, now what do you mean by this? What do I mean by this? So here you can see that the stem is horizontal. Okay, so it runs along the ground. So it is under the ground and it runs horizontally, and at every frequent interval you will see there's a shoot on the upper side and there's a root on the lower side. So such type of horizontal stem is called as rhizome. Okay. So now we talked about the stem, we talked about the roots, now the leaves. So here the leaves are large, they are pinnately compound with a central axis which is called as rachis. So what do I mean by this is that you can see over here, instead of having a large one single leaf, it has smaller leaflets. Okay, it has smaller leaflets. So such type of leaves are called as pinnately compound leaves, and these pinnately compound leaves are arranged on a central axis. So that central line is called as rachis. It is called as rachis. So I hope you have understood this. Moving ahead, each leaflet is sessile and sessile dorsiventral with a prominent mid vein and forked lateral veins. So here what do I mean by this is, sessile means it does not have a stalk. So it does not have a stalk. Besides that, it has a mid vein and it has forked lateral veins. Forked lateral veins means like a fork. So 1, 2, 3, just like a fork. Okay. So you have a mid vein and you have forked lateral veins. Moving ahead, the leaflet bears several dark brown sori, individual is called as sorus, and white oval hydrathodes dorsally at the vein endings. So what do I mean by this is, suppose this is your leaf, one half of a leaf. Let's say these are the veins. So here you will see some dark spots on the ventral side. So the dark spots on the ventral side are called as sorus, and On the opposite side, that means on the dorsal side, you will see the same dots white in color. So those white oval dots are called as hydrathodes, and the dark brown spots on the other side, on the ventral side, is called as sori, individual sorus. So to show you some photos of it, see, these are the hydrathodes which are on the upper side of the leaf, which are white in color, and these are on the lower side of the leaves, which are called as sori. Okay, so these can be either dark brown or black or even sometimes yellowish in color. So these sorus are the actual spore producing organs. So in these sorrels, there are lots of sporangia. Now sporangias are the organs which produce spores, okay, which produces spores. So the sorus consists of sporangia. Sporangia produces spores. Now these haploid spores germinate to produce an autotrophic gametophyte. So यहां पर अभी क्या हो रहा है कि plant body originally sporophyte है, and now it is producing spores in the sporus, in the sorus. These spores, haploid spores, germinate to produce autotrophic gametophyte, which is the haploid plant body. This haploid plant body will further bear male and female sex organs. And these male and female sex organs will produce male and female gametes, which will fertilize together to form a diploid zygote. And this diploid zygote will further produce the diploid sporophyte plant. Okay, so here again the cycle will continue. So that now the fourth and the last specimen is Cycas megasporophyll. Now here let me first tell you that this is not the entire plant but just the female reproductive part of the plant. Okay, so what you can see over here is not the entire plant but the part of a plant, the female reproductive part of the plant, which is called as Cycas megasporophyll. Okay, now here the actual plant looks like a coconut tree. You can see over here. Okay, so you can see over here there are these leaves just like coconut leaves, and there is this huge stem. Okay, so on these plants you can see that there is this bunch of leaf-like structures, okay, which are called as megasporophylls. Okay, so these bunch of leaf-like structures are called as megasporophylls. So there are hundreds of megasporophylls on a one single female plant. So here is one single megasporophyll out of that bunch. Okay, so this is how one single megasporophyll looks like. So on this megasporophyll, you have bulb-like structures. Okay, you have bulb-like structures which are called as ovules. So inside these ovules is the egg cell or the female gamete, whichever way you may call it. So here, how do you remember the word? Now understand this, since this entire female organ looks like a leaf, that's why you may see the word fill. Okay, you will see the word fill. So fill is the word which is related to leaves. Now this leaf-like structure is producing spores, has the ability to produce spores inside the ovules. So that's why we'll call it as sporophyll. Okay, that's why we'll call it as sporophyll. Now there are two types of sex organs. One is the microsporophyll and the other one is the megasporophyll. So both male and female parts, the sex organs, look like leaves, and they have the ability to produce spores. So that's why they are sporophylls. How do you remember which one is micro and which one is mega? See, understand this. घर में भी जो मेल होता है वो छोटा सा होता है, माइक्रो होता है, ओके, एंड द लेडीज हैव द हाईएस्ट पोजीशन, ओके, दे रूल द वर्ल्ड, ओके, दे रूल द हाउस, so they are mega, the male is micro. Is that understood now? Okay, so the female sex organ is called as megasporophyll. So I hope you have understood this. Now here, besides sexual reproduction, where two complete different plants are involved, because cycas is a dioecious plant. Dioecious plant as in it has two different plants, out of which one is the male plant and one is the female plant. So on the male plant you will see microsporophylls, on the female plant you will see megasporophylls. So these two sporophylls will produce the respective gametes, which will later fuse to form a new plant. But this is the sexual reproduction. What about the asexual reproduction? So asexual reproduction is brought about by bulbils. Some plants produce bulb-like structures at the leaf base. So you can see over here, there are these bulb-like structures at the leaf base, which are called as bulbils. So these bulbils, when they fall on the ground, they germinate into a new young plant. Moving ahead, so the male cycas plant produces a single male cone at the apex. That means at the top, just like a crown of a prince, there will be a male cone at the apex, which consists of several microsporophylls, just like the female plant. Now each microsporophyll bears several microsporangia. Microsporangia, basically it is like a pouch-like structures which produces the male gametes. Okay. Then here the pollination is brought about by wind. Here the pollination is brought about by wind, because see, these plants were able to produce seeds, but these seeds were naked seeds. That means there was no fruit, there was no flower. So अगर flower ही नहीं है तो insects को ऐसे attract करेंगे. So these plants pollinate using wind, okay, with the help of wind. So that was all about the cycas megasporophyll. So I hope you have understood this, and I hope that you will be able to answer most of the questions. So these are some of the common questions which are asked, which you can refer to and which you can find the answers of, because questions similar to these will be asked in the exams. So I hope you prepare all these questions, find out the answers of all these questions, and also go through these information, okay, so that you are not left behind. Now in the actual exam you won't find these all pictures that I have put inside the slide. You will only see these images, okay. So for sorghasm you will see this particular photo without the name, of course. For Funaria, again this specimen. For Nephrolepis, this specimen, and Cycas megasporophyll. So here, please follow these images and answer the questions accordingly. So with that said, we'll just end this section. Thank you.